Hello everyone, my name is Steven Steele and welcome back to World of Tanks. Today we'll be doing a review on the T54 First prototype, or the T54 Mod 1 if you prefer that name, so let's get into it. So this tank is Tier 8 Russian premium medium tank. It costs 8,750 gold, which is 32 point something euros, just a bit more than the CDC or the Panther 88. And for that price, it is kind of in the middle of those mediums, so we'll get to the verdict later. But first, let's see the armor of the tank. So armor on this tank, 120 upper plate, 120 lower plate. As you can see, the angles are reasonably good. You get a very weird bump of armor here, by the way. I have no idea what it is. Well, whatever. These armor values are pretty damn good, and the angles are pretty damn good, so you get really good armor. And what's important to note is that you get 90 side armor, because why not? So you can actually side scrape the crap out of this tank. You can see that the lowest values we're getting here is 207 on a medium tank. Like, Panther 88 has an 80 upper plate at a worse angle, to give you an idea what that's all about. So yeah, this tank is really well armored, and you get some serious armor values. Even the lower plate's pretty good, which means that 180 penetration cannot pen this tank frontally, because it doesn't really have any weak spots, as you can see, at least not on the hull. Oh yeah, turret-wise, we can put the turret in the middle. There it is. Alright, turret-wise, you get 180. It's flat in these cheek zones, just beside the gun mantlet. Other than that, you get very big angles here if you go up or down. Turret ring is also 180, but again, you get some angles if you don't hit it well. Gun mantlet has some weak spots, but also has some really strong spots, like 700 millimeters or something. Well, something close to that. So you get it. It's pretty Russian, and you get these side cheeks here, very well sloped, and they are 150 millimeters. So very nice. 300 armor here. Above the turret on the top, you have the roof, 15 millimeters. Every gun in the game can pen that, and you have a 90 millimeter cupola, which is also pretty bad. You can get some angles on it at the very side here, for example, like this. But it's not really what you want to hope for. But then again, if you're going to be side scraping, and if you're slightly above enemies, it's hard for them to hit this weak spot, and then the hull is not really an option to pen, so it makes this tank incredibly strong. And to give you an idea, this thing has actually more armor on the side and the lower plate than the Tiger 2, and the upper plate has a bit less, but it's well angled. So yeah, this tank is better protected than the fucking Tiger 2, to put it in the perspective, which is quite ridiculous. When we look at the final things, the gun depression, 6 degrees, pretty Russian there, and the elevation is 17 degrees, so that is pretty good as well. And next up, we'll be comparing it to some of the other Tier 8 premium medium tanks, which is something I'll do for the first time, and I would like comments or opinions on it, whether you like it or not. Alright, so here we are in the compare. T54 First prototype against the AMX Croissant du Croissant, Panzer 58 Moods, the STA2, the Super Pershing, and the Pattern Korean, which are more of the recent Moods, and the Pattern Korean are the more recent mediums, so let's compare it to that as well. DPM wise, it's pretty much in the middle. The Croissant and the STA2 have more, but the Panzer 58 Moods lags behind. These actually have the exact same reload, as you can see, but the Russian one has 10 more alpha damage, which makes a little bit of a difference, I guess. The Super Pershing lags behind in both reload and the alpha damage, but then again, Super Pershing's gun is quite terrible. DPM wise, the T54 First prototype is pretty much in the middle, really. Penetration is on the low end. It's better than the Super Pershing, but that's about it. So basically the same as the STA2. It's not really good. And you have to shoot a bit more gold with the T54 than some of these others, like CDC and the 58 Moods don't really have to shoot all that much gold. Your module damage is going to be higher as your alpha damage is higher than all of these, and those are pretty good things to have sometimes, but they don't really make a difference. With the 10 more alpha comes a worse rate of fire than some of these, which is quite understandable. Shell velocity 900, these have 1,000 or close to 1,000. Well, this is 850, and same for the Pattern Korean, so it's good enough really. Shell velocity is not a big deal. Ammo capacity is kind of a big deal on this tank. It's actually really low. You only have 34 shells, so you have to be a bit smart about what shells you're carrying, which is a bit annoying, but that's how the T54 First prototype has to live with its weakness, really, of having not enough ammo. Like on the CDC, you can load like 40 standard, 40 gold, and 10 or 10 HE shells, and then you have enough shells no matter whatever you're ever gonna face on that thing. You cannot do that on T54's first prototype, which is a bit unfortunate, but that's life. In terms of gun handling, your aim time is a bit longer than all of these, except for the Pat Korean, but that gets really good soft stats, so it doesn't need to aim that long. Accuracy is kind of in the middle. It's a reasonably good accuracy, really. There's nothing much to say about it. Soft stats are pretty bad on the vehicle's movement, but the vehicle's not that fast, so you don't always feel that. Not to mention that turret to first soft stat might be bad, but turret turns really fast, so you can start aiming really fast. So that kind of makes up for it, and it's not that big of a deal. Still, this gun can feel really mediocre at mid to long range, but mid and short range it should feel fine, to be honest. You lose more accuracy after firing, which makes absolutely no sense or difference really for the tank in the first place, because you can kind of just sit there and wait for the 7-second reload and you'll be fine anyway. Gun elevation is good enough. It's not really a big deal, and the gun depression is worse than all of these by quite much. The tank, however, can sit in close range and brawl really well, so all of these aiming stats are not as big of a deal. Like the Croissant needs to snipe, so all of these stats need to be really responsive. For the T54, it's not a big deal because you're going to be sitting 100 meters closer at least, so you can usually get your shots off. We get to mobility. You can see this tank is rather mediocre indeed. That's pretty average maximum speed. All of these are around the same. It gets a pretty mediocre reverse as well, but 20 or 18 doesn't really matter. The power to weight's where it loses against most of these, and the soft stats are also not very good, although it's better than on the Pat Korean and much better on the Croissant, but then again, that one gets fucked by the soft stats quite hard. Turret reverse is very good. It's faster than pretty much all of these other than the STA2, which is a good thing. And having a better turret reverse, as I said, allows you to aim faster, and the tank traverses pretty damn well as well. Not like epic, but it is pretty good. Really, the big thing this thing has going for it is the hull and the turret armor. As you can see, all of these are completely red because they're way worse. The STA2 and the AMX Croissant have absolutely no armor. So that kind of makes up for this tank. Other than that, you have the lowest health, but yeah, that's not a big deal either. I think we've seen most of these stats, however, you get the picture of this tank. And so let us get into the replay and talk about the rest there. So we are playing on Muravanka, tier 8 game, top tier, obviously, as this tank is really good in top tier matchmaking. So first of all, we get 1300 hit points on the vehicle, which is pretty mediocre, but you have good armor and you have a low profile, so you should be able to avoid the damage well enough. Second of all, we do get 360 meter view range, which means that, kind of like some of my other Russian tanks, I've given up on trying to make the view range work. I've gone for ventilation and no coated optics or binoculars, which I could have done, but I decided to just go full brawling and fuck up any situation where I do not have enough view range, as that is kind of how this tank plays out, really. Like, if you're relying on view range on this tank, you can have coated optics or binoculars, but it's not going to make up for how bad the view range is anyway, so I decided to not even bother with that and go ventilation for the better gun performance. Right off the bat, we see that our entire team went to the left flank instead of the right flank, which is too bad, but made me decide not to go to the right flank, which is the matchable forest. It's one of my favorite spots on this map, probably my favorite, if you can make it work, but I couldn't. There's the first target, Pat Korean. That was really lucky. Like, not gonna lie, that really was very lucky. And he's probably feeling very sad now. So MX CDC is sitting there behind the buildings. It's way too far up, like he's way too close to our heavies. He's gonna take heavy fire and he dies already from the waffle. We do get a free shot into him, so again, very nice for us there. And this gun so far is shooting more accurately than it normally does, which is kinda like lucky. You kinda have to be lucky with guns like these if you wanna have good games, because they can sometimes miss 5 shots in a row where they shouldn't miss. But then again, I did aim the shot on the CDC fully, so that's fine. Here we spot the Pat Korean, shoot his upper plate down on it, so easy shot. Turns his turret and he tries to shoot us, but the soft stats on this turret reverse are not the best, so he misses. We get a second shot for free, but he actually pens me right now. don't know where he penned me. That's kind of surprising. I'm not entirely sure where exactly. I think, yeah, my side. Penned my side, but whatever. We get another shot into him, and he's pretty much going to be dead now. Our shot did track him, so we get some nice assistance damage here as well. Now we find a Super Pershing, kind of out of position. He's showing a side to me. He doesn't really have a choice, as the rest of my team will otherwise just fuck him up. But he's giving me some free shots. That last shot was pretty bad at the lower plate, though, as it cannot pen him like that. And we get shot from behind, so we're now actually at half health. Which is really early in the game to be at half health. But then again, we have done some decent damage, and we are still wrecking this Super Pershing. I didn't expect to get shot from behind though, so that was pretty sad. We got the last shot in, and that one tracks him as well, so it's kind of easy for my team to finish him off, but they managed to bounce, so I will have to do it all by myself, which is how this game works usually. And you can see the Skoda T25 shooting me, and that thing has 130 penetration. 130 penetration, even like against my flat side, has a chance of bouncing if he has bad RNG. That is how much side armor this tank has. It makes it really, really powerful. Like, at this moment, I'm not feeling threatened at all. He can't do anything to me. He can hit my gunman with like lots of luck maybe, but he's just shooting at my tank, and it's not doing anything at all really, which is part of the reason why you would play this tank. It's how it dominates lower tiers, but like I just felt I didn't feel threatened or whatever. I just kind of sat there and I didn't care. That shot was pretty unlucky though on the IS-3, and now we're gonna have some slight issues. Like, these first shots are alright because he's giving me my side armor, but shooting him frontally with 183 pen is pretty iffy. It can technically definitely pen him, but there's not that much chance of it happening, so I will have to be quite careful for random misses and stuff. This first shot is not very good, I must admit. I should have fired just a bit earlier when he was showing me his upper plate in a better angle. But yeah, the Tiger 2 here is giving me a very easy shot, so I will go in and kill him. Back of his turret, there's nothing he's gonna do. The 112 turns his gun, but again, 175 penetration. I have like, what, 180 to 200 like all around frontal armor, so I don't have to feel threatened at all really. I don't have to give a shit. I just kind of move out, I get shot, and it doesn't matter because it doesn't pen me, which is kind of the strength of this tank. I look for the shot on the 112 and my team finishes him off. IS-3 misses me, so I can aim this shot fully, but like, I'm not gonna pen these shots unless I get lucky or I hit like very well, like I will actually do right now. That was a really good shot. It touched the improved track part of his armor. Hit him right in the best plate for me to shoot. That shot didn't have a lot of chance though, but I was hoping to hit the top of his turret. You can see how much trouble a heavy tank can be for this vehicle, but if you get reasonably good shots like this one, you'll pen most of them. And I actually just fired a gold round, which is not really something I do a lot. I'll fire another one, but that one doesn't go in either, which is a bit strange. Well, not strange, it's IS-3, so you're not used to penning that normally, but I'm actually preparing more gold rounds to be fired, and gold is kind of necessary in these situations if you want to do anything. Now, it's a bit annoying, the position he's taking, he has cover from the Ferdinand sitting like all the way in the back, so that is a bit of a problem. There's no eye there. I tried for a blind shot, which was not very smart, as you'll see towards the end of the game. The one problem with this tank is the ammo count, and I am going to run out at one point soon. But you can see the overall playstyle of this tank. You're a mix between a heavy and a medium. You have the mobility of something like right in between. That was a ridiculous shot, by the way. You have something like right in between in terms of mobility, and it really does give you a lot of like options for how to play the tank. You can play as a heavy if you're top tier. You can play a medium if you're not top tier, but you do not really have the gun to be the best medium out there. So that is one thing to note. And there we go, tier 8 tank destroyer with a pretty good gun. Shoots me, only tracks me, doesn't actually deal damage because side armor. His position is reasonably good, but I can't really hit him very well, and I can't even see him half the time, which is a bit of a problem. So I'm going back into my earlier position where I was killing the IS-3 from, hopefully helping my Yak Panther 2 friend over there, who's likely not going to win this engagement, as IS-3 is obviously a lot stronger. IS-3 is pretty much the best tier 8 tank in the game. And I am gonna aim this fully, not taking any risks with the RNG. We did take some risk with the RNG because it was a pretty lucky shot, but you kind of have to risk shots like that with these type of guns. And now it's pretty much all I have to do pretty much at this point is try to finish off the IS-3. He comes around the building the other way. I try to shoot him here. It hits him, but it doesn't pen, or maybe I only hit his track. I'm not entirely sure where the shot went. It doesn't really matter. I'll go in for the killer anyway. I have enough health to take one of his shots without dying, which means I can pretty much rush in and just finish him off. And here comes the funny part, when he moves in like this. We actually don't pen one another. I pen him. I shoot him in a good spot, but I don't pen. He doesn't pen me, and the joke is that you can't see it right here, but I was playing with XVM, and that what he fired on me and bounced on my track was actually gold. So yeah, you can see this armor is pretty damn epic. This is one of the most well armored tier 8 tanks out there, and it's a medium. It's not like it's a heavy tank or whatever. The game is pretty close to being over. The enemy shouldn't really be able to win this game anymore. The Ferdinand is still sitting all the way there in the back of the map. He's a very good player, playing TD with 1500 hit points. So let's sit at the back of the map and let's just sit there. In terms of crew skills, you want to have 6th sense on this. Repairs, as you are going to be brawling, are going to be very important. Smooth ride, snapshot, safe stowage can all be very nice. As you saw, I got ammo racked at the beginning, so safe stowage can be pretty good. You want to have brothers in arms for the better performance of the tank and its gun and stuff. And other than that, more Russian medium stuff. I don't think you'll be grinding a crew like for this tank. You'll be playing it for the tier 9 and the tier 10 vehicles most likely. And other than that, equipment-wise, I have gun rammer, vert stabs, and ventilation. If you want, you can trade ventilation for coated optics or whatever, but I'm not really a big fan of that. I'll try a blind shot here, but it wasn't gonna hit him most likely. And one thing to note about this tank is that it actually has really good camouflage, which is a bit silly, but yeah, it has good camo. So moments like these, I was probably not even spotted there behind the bushes, but I don't have 6th sense yet, so I can't really tell. That guy dies, and now we're pretty much gonna go off, finish off the last guy, the Ferdinand. So my final statements on the tank and how it plays, it's pretty much, as I said, a mix between a medium and a heavy. You're gonna brawl, you're gonna look for shots in close range, or medium maybe, but nothing more than that. Other mediums with like 190 or 180 penetration, they cannot do shit against you. Especially when you're hull down and when you're angling or side scraping properly. This tank is indestructible to those tanks, and I would advise you to abuse the crap out of them. Shoot them over and over. They can't do a thing, really. It's really powerful. And it makes this tank one of the best tier 8s if it's top tier. One thing to note, though, when you're tier 9 or tier 10 games, this tank is god-awful. Your gun won't work. Your mobility is pretty mediocre, pretty bad, actually. And your armor is obviously going to fail as well. Even though you can still troll bounce people relatively well with the good side armor that it has. Side scraping can work even against the most heavily armored, like higher, biggest guns vehicle at tier 10. It doesn't really matter, it can always work. But most of them are just gonna shoot your gun mantle or upper plate and pen right through it, so you can't really play this tank very well in tier 10. Now we're pretty much looking for the last Ferdinand. I kinda don't want to take a risk here because I'm a 2-shot to him. There he is. Can I get the shot for free? And I can, which is very nice. Now, as you can see by the bottom of the screen, I'm completely out of pretty much all my ammo. I have 4 shots left, 2 of which are high explosive, and they're not going to do anything against the Ferdinand, which is problematic. Ferdinand's armor isn't very good, but when you have a gun with 180 penetration at tier 8, you can start to feel that it is pretty difficult to pen him properly, which is kind of what's going to be happening here. I do have 1 gold round left, and I'll make it count, I'm pretty sure, but I do make it count, but then it shoots me right through the gun mantle, it kills my driver. I move forward. I'm lacking gun depression here to shoot his track. I kind of want to track him, but I don't manage to do it. I try to back out, and too late. I fucked up. Pretty poor play there at the end of the game by me, but I was happy enough with how the game proceeded anyway. So here's the game. Interesting to note, this was actually the second game I played on the tank, and I got myself the Ace Tanker badge already. High caliber as well, which is really nice. Under 28k credits as well. We got ourselves 4,000, just over 4,000 damage dealt as well, and a 1,461 experience, which is epic for the crew. And as you can see, we do get ourselves a pretty damn nice profit of over 70k despite all the gold ammo that we shot on this tank. So the final verdict on T54 First prototype, is it worth the money you pay for it? And the answer, for me at least, is, well, yes, yeah it is, but you need to remember that this tank is only good at tier 8, somewhat at tier 9, but at tier 10 you are really weak, and you will have to learn to deal with that. I mean, other than that, it's a pretty decent tank, and at own tier you can roll over the enemy team like there's no tomorrow, but you have to remember that the tank does have the weaknesses in higher tiers. That's pretty much it. I think if you have a Russian medium crew, this thing is definitely worth it, and you saw the credit profit, that was very nice as well, so for those things, it definitely is worth it, and just for having fun, just for having a fun tier 8 premium, you can argue really, but if you like this playstyle, then obviously it is pretty good, yes. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, please leave a like and sub or comment to the video, please. And obviously, at the beginning I did the comparison. That is something I haven't done before. So if you really enjoyed that, please let me know so I can do that in the future as well. Or maybe turn back to what I used to do. And then we will see one another next time.